Like I mentioned, it assigned the elevation to this arc. I wasn't anticipating that happening, but if it did or if it did not, that's not that big of a deal because I'm going to show you how we're going to start editing these elevations on these that have not been assigned yet. So the way we're going to do that is I'm going to select the feature line, hitting escape, selecting the feature line to incorporate these tools. Now, a tool that I'm going to use a lot in this particular project is this quick elevation edit. This quick elevation edit button is really how I'm going to do all of my design. So when I move around, notice that it's giving me some information on those feature lines, and not just that one feature line, all feature lines. So if I hover and I'm not clicking anything, I'm just simply moving the mouse around. It gives me an elevation at this point. It gives me the grade coming up of 1.3%, and if I move down this way, it'll be negative 1.33%. It comes to this elevation here, and remember that 1.3 is what it calculated on its own, coming up 1.3 and coming down 1.3. And what I mean by down is negative 1.334. So because this one's coming up at a 1.3 or down, however you want to look at it, you will use this elevation here, grade of whatever you want. That's the design. So because you're following my video, let's just see what it looks like, and hopefully it works good for this video. Is since this is a longer run, I'm going to go instead of 1.3, I'm just going to go maybe 1.1, and let's see what that looks like. So how am I going to change this? The elevation here is 3803.06. This one is 0. So the way, I don't know what this elevation is, and if I click on it, I don't know what elevation to put in there. So the way this command works is I'm going to select here. Now notice, and this is where you have to be really careful. When I'm coming up to this point on this quick elevation edit, it's giving me a crazy grade because it's going from 3803 down, and you got to think 3D to 0. So it makes sense. But I'm using 1.3, and in this case, I'm going to use 1.1% positive. So from this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move over here and don't click here, because if I do this, it's going to change this elevation. I want this elevation to change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the crosshairs to where I see the grade on this side, not the elevation, the grade. And once I see that, then I click. Then the grade I'm going to put is 1.1. So now that it's set at a 1.1, this elevation is 3806.8. It's coming up 1.1. It is now 3803.11. I'm going to come up in this direction, and don't just click wherever. You have to make sure you're clicking on the right side of the arrow. So since this is the elevation I want to adjust, therefore this grade coming up this way, I need to make sure the arrow is pointing in this direction. So I'm going to go to this area, más o menos, select there, and specify a grade of 1.1 that I'm using. Enter. Now I have an elevation here of 3803. This one is at 0, so I'm going to select this edge here. So I can select, specify grade of 1.1, enter. Now, you don't have to do this, but let me just show you what's happening. Here we have 3803, and then now we have a grade of negative 3.23. So this should be okay. I have this grade of 0 from here to here, so I'm not liking this too much. So what I'm going to do is this elevation here and here, I don't like this too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this elevation here. I'm going to change this grade coming up. Instead of 0, I want to go, because this elevation here of 3803.94 is the same as this one. I don't like that. I want to make this one a little higher. So I'm going to change the grade coming up from 0 to 1.1. Enter. So now I change this one, 3803.97. This one now has a flatter grade. Not too big of a deal because it's still draining in this direction, but I don't like that in this area. So I'm gonna go and change this one. Let's go with a 1 on this case, 0.0, enter. Then that way I'll end up with a elevation here, a grade coming down of negative 1.335. Perfect. We'll continue with the next video.